per se. We want them to be flat, so it's a little difficult to find the paints now. In fact, the black I can only buy in Pennsylvania now. They won't allow it to be sold in the state of Maryland. There's something, one solvent in there or something else. Squeeze on in, come around. Try and get everybody in. When you guys are all said and done, take notes. You guys are going to paint before you leave. No paint, no lunch.
All right. Now, why wouldn't you use latex? What's the problem?
Water paint, yuck.
Water paint. We don't use any water paint at all. Getting harder and harder to come by oil paint. We cannot buy any colors in these, so we buy the black and the white as a paint, and everything else is 100% pigments. We buy pigments and mix our own right here. Bryon has a good eye for the color. The deceptive part, anybody that's an artist would know that a lot of times when paint's dry, they're a different color than when they're wet. We have to see it when it's wet, but we know what it's going to look like when it's dry. He's going to put the wet paint on. This is what you call wet on wet. He's going to wet the whole bird out. He's going to hand it to me. He's going to pass it over. I'm going to do some wet on it. I'm going to hand it back to him. He's going to finish it. Goes in the rack's done. Okay? In order to make money, you can't be fooling around here. You got a minute or two to do the job, and that's it. Paint will be drying on us too. My handy dandy. Yeah.
These are easy ducks, though.
These are
what
easy.
we're doing. We're not doing something that's multiple colors.
But all the paints are mixed from pigments, except the black and the white, of course. And the interesting thing is this brush right here is a regular brush. These are worn out, but you get an idea of what we've done. You can pass it around. We cut a chisel on it. How do we do that? Hair clippers. And we do a palette job here, and my cradle is a Lazy Susan from my wife's spice rack. We like to paint. I paint. You notice our pants get paint on them every once in a while, but we paint and we rub on. We always use denim material. Use denim. All our friends give us their worn-out jeans. You get no lint. You guys are in the finishing business. No lint after this. Once it's washed out and worn very well, you turn it inside out or right side, doesn't matter. They finally get painted all over inside and out, and they get pitched after a while. But we're stingy. So anyway, I'm sitting here waiting on him now. When we get in a sequence, we'll have a whole row of ducks like that right there. He'll know at what point to start painting so that he finishes the instant I'm finished. But for one bird, we're sort of going to be a little handicapped here. And just like he says on painting, just like he said on the whittling, his first bird or two are always a little rough when we paint, so everything gets wetted out and we get to rolling. Sometimes we'll paint here 2 or 3 hours and never say a word. We don't have to say a word to each other. And it just goes on. When I was working full time, I used to come home just like that. I was quality director, and it made me nuts. And I'd come home 15 minutes in the evening into this, and I was mellow.
He didn't say he had 2 beers before that, too.
Some days it just doesn't go right. Give me a beer, Bryon, and it'll get going. And I tell you, we can really fly then.
Oh, yeah. This past batch of cold weather, were you okay still painting in here in the cold weather?
We haven't painted too much. We did
Cold's
those
better.
Birds. Colder, better. We've painted, we like it around 65 down to, say 58, 65 is where we paint. And this paint's nothing more than the same white. That's the white on the body, the white he has on here. But all I've done is put a couple of drips, not much, black in that to make a gray color. Now, this is canvas back, so we're trying to make it look like a canvas color. There's your feathers. Now, I'm not going to paint feathers up the center of the back. If we were doing a premium bird, these are called classics. This is more of an antique style. We're imitating one of the old masters here. This is Bob McGall paint job. Bob McGall died in 1958, lived in Hardy Grace and made ducks for a living for years, but this is what we call a Bob McGall paint job. Feathers are on it. Okay. What I'm going to do here is just cut a little line up front so it looks more like a wing. You notice I don't go back into this paint without getting that other paint out of my brush. That's why I use this piece on my file. Get that out of there. If I went back, it would start getting muddy, muddy, muddy. You get one shot. You don't get to paint it again. If it's wrong, You just take a rag and wipe it off. It's no big deal. You can wipe it off. Let me have your black brush, please, just to cut this line in here. That black's still wet. Those are the back feathers. Those are the back feathers. Now I need to get what we call primaries on there. There's big tip feathers on there. I've got this black, but I put a little bit of this in it. How many am I doing? 4?
Yeah,
Four stroke.
Five slash.
Okay. There's a stroke. Lay the next one on. Come up. 4 stroke.
These are fun because they're easy for me.
Yeah, he doesn't have to work real hard. But if we were painting in a sequence, he would have started right now to paint the next bird.
I'd be done.
And do we have any artists in the group? Anybody? Anybody? Anybody?
Silence is deafening.
We're still gonna make you paint. Somebody's got to paint
paints.
one.
I do paint. Kurt paints. He'll do so.
Well, let's work on that. We'll maybe talk about another duck.
That was the most colorful one at the wood duck, Drakey?
Yes, and the Drake wood ducks are up there. This is an interesting duck. I like to show this one for the kids and show how it's painted. Does anybody have any ideas how it might be painted?
Scratch off the, you put the white underneath it and scratch off the,
Yeah, it's just like you do with crayons. You put the base color on, we allow it to dry, which is this one right here. It's already been done. This is what it would be when we started. The base color would be dry, and again the opposite's on the head, and then when the body's wet, we use the head as a handle, just like on there. We use it as a handle. Paint all the body at one shot with dark brown, and while it's still wet, scratch through. Let's see. Let me set that there. I might have some cardboard here. I can do that. I think there's some cardboard. Can you count to 5?
Why are some of these ducks on shelves wrapped in plastic and some aren't?
Some are done, some
They're
are
finished. Their orders are just something in here to be. They're orders, so nobody grabs them. That's primarily what it is. A lot of times when people order ducks, they order multiples. Well, we don't have the whole order finished. It might take us 2 months to finish another species or something until that batch comes through. It doesn't make every duck every year. I'm done. Other than Bryon.
I already have this painted the buff underneath. I'm just showing you real quick. But all we do is take a stick. I use black instead of dark brown. Just go like that. It gives us those feathers, or a different shaped feather like that.
Any of you guys have done wood graining? He uses some wood
Same
graining
technique.
combs. The combs are used on some of the birds.
But it's just a dowel that's been sharpened in the pencil sharpeners. All of this. We're
so
nothing
there's no
fancy.
wax in the end of that pen?
No. It's just wood.
They don't wear off too. In about a dozen ducks will wear the point off. We just put it in the pencil sharpener and sharpen it again.
We use the same technique like on the wood ducks. On the side of them where it's yellow, we've used a hair comb is what's used on them. Just a black hair comb. That's all that's used.
I use
We
a
use a
barrette.
little
One of the
barrette
ladies' barrette to
on
do
some
some of the
things.
feather.
You
Anything
don't use
get a
any
technique.
burning?
No.
No burning tips?
No burning at all.
Let me see here. Let me finish
Duck's
your
done. In the meantime, he would have handed me the other one. That one goes over to him. He's going to finish that. That's going to go in the rack. He's going to start painting the next one while I do the second one. He's doing the third one. And this paint job can be a little bit crude because we're going to actually antique them. We're going to distress them, burnish them, polish them, and sometimes even put shot in them where they've been actually shot with hunters shooting them and things like that. So it's.
You do that out in the yard, do you shoot them?
No, he actually drills them. We used to shoot them, and it was very unpredictable. He'd blow the top of the bill off or something. Now he's a little more careful. He just drills holes and then pushes the shot in with a nail.
Now using steel shot?
No,
Anything.
all lead.
All lead. All lead. Okay, where's our painter? You're going to paint, push it over here, right?
He's right behind you.
Where's the painter? Okay.
What do you want me to paint?
I'm going to paint. I'm going to do one stroke.
That barn out back.
Yeah, that's one. Okay. You notice I paint in these dishes. I get just a little bit of paint in the tip. I wet the brush out. Right. I don't have a whole lot of gobby paint in there. I'm going to drag one for you, and you're going to drag the next one beside me. Okay. When my brush is down, I don't leave the surface. I'm not doing this. Okay, I stay on the surface, but I let it go up and down. See that? You can practice over here a little bit. Have a seat.
At least I'm just going to screw up a piece of plywood.
It's just
We do
cardboard.
it all the time for the kids. They love it. So don't worry about it. We'll paint back over it. As soon as you do it,
Yeah, turn your brush over.
okay, use the knife edges down.
Okay.
Yeah, get a hold of that brush hard. Get a hold of it like you really love it. Okay? Now, just start harder. Push down harder. Harder. Start moving now. Now you're starting to get it. See that? Okay, now go back over that stroke and I'll show you what happens. Okay, wet your brush out. Just go back and forth real hard. Okay, now, knife edge down. Turn it over, please. Okay, now go over top of that. Try and do it again. Okay, stay on the surface.
Just like you're on your honeymoon.
Alright. Now see, if he goes over it again, it starts to turn to mud. So
Yeah,
you get one, possibly two strokes, but beyond that, we'll wipe it off and paint it again. We make mistakes. Some days we got it, and some days you don't. And hopefully we can salvage the bird.
Yeah. So you're retired now. Do you still have to have the 2 beers once in a while?
No, I haven't done that for quite a while. I haven't done that. Brian, repaint it for him. Paint it again. Paint another one. He'll let him try again. Now he's done that. I need another volunteer. Who's going to volunteer? We're here to humble you.
That's probably
Very good.